This is I Should Be Writing, episode... What'd I say? 46? Episode 46, season 17.
But I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Welcome to I Should Be Writing. I'm your host, Mer Lafferty, and I've been doing this podcast since 2005, starting to talk about my anxieties about being a writer with absolutely no sales, and now it is 2021, and I have several published novels, one book that got a lot of award nominations, and I'm still talking about anxiety and writing, so I can't necessarily brag that I know what I'm talking about, but I can brag that I have been talking a long time. Now, I am going to warn you right now, my daughter had wisdom teeth surgery this morning, and so my husband took her because I have a really bad phobia, and I didn't want my anxiety to be worse for her. So they're off doing the thing, and I'm going to be checking my phone every time it buzzes to hear from them, and if they come home, I'm going to push the BRB button, and that'll pause the stream for a little while, and y'all can talk amongst yourselves. But, yeah, that's where I am right now. Welcome to everybody in the chat. I'm glad you're here. And welcome to anyone listening or watching that's not up for chatting. That's cool, too. Mackenzie hasn't written all day, super behind. My kids will be going to bed soon. I've been messing with my website and marketing all morning, and while that's good and necessary work, I did do it during my writing time, so I think officially it was productive procrastination instead of actually doing what I'm supposed to do. But what I've been working on, I can't say much because I haven't been doing much. It's been another stressful time with an ill relative, and we drove up to Buffalo, unrelated, to see my husband's family that we haven't seen since Christmas 2019. So a lot of driving, a lot of visiting, a lot of hot dogs, and I need to turn off Pretzel Rocks. Sorry about that. Anyway, thank you for following. I can't talk. I'm gonna start over again. Thank you for following Shauna Craft. I'm gonna call you Crafter. Is that okay? Twitch names are make me fretful. I have a block in my mind that makes me fear I'm going to forget someone's name when I'm interviewing them. Or pronounce it wrong. And the fear is so loud in my head that, like, I forget names like Sam. I still feel bad about insisting Sam Morgan introduce himself because I suddenly was seized by terror that I was going to say his name wrong. And then, of course, he made fun of me for that, which he should have. But Sam Morgan, delightful agent, wonderful person. I like him very much, and I'm very sorry that I did not have the confidence to say your name, because I knew it. I did know it. So yeah, I usually start out with talking about what I've been working on, and I really haven't been working on anything. I've been doing a lot of admin stuff, so I have my thing set up if you don't want to be a patron or support Patreon, and you want to support me in another way, I now have a couple of other options. My Ko-fi is set up, and you can join the Secret Society of Ink Splattered Fabulous from Ko-fi or from Jemmy, if you want to check out those. Most of the rewards are similar. Ko-fi will let you just send me $3 for a cup of coffee if you want. And Jemmy will allow you to buy like one-time things, like you want to hang out and talk about Star Wars or game one afternoon. You want to do a pep talk for either you or somebody else that you love, you can, ask me to say a pep talk to somebody, name them by name, and, send them a video of me telling them, come on, buck up, little camper, you can do it. And, also, I did not put a button for the, Jemmy, but that's jemi.app/MightyMur, and it's linked on my webpage. And, I have a new newsletter again. I didn't want to talk about this, but I think it's important for writers. I had a problem. My newsletter is, I had one, but I didn't know what to say because I've podcast. And I think, I'm going to say everything I want to say in my podcast. And then I started my Patreon, and I thought, well, I email them frequently. Am I going to do something entirely different? Am I going to give newsletter people Patreon stuff for free? And I really just worked it up into something difficult in my mind, which it didn't need to be. So the problem with that is I had too many outlets, and I really fretted about what to put where. And it turns out that I didn't need to worry at all, because I can duplicate content, because not everybody is going to be looking at everything for me. So a lot of this stuff is going to be redundant, which is why if you don't want to do Patreon, you can do one of the other things. If you just want to send me a one-time support cost thing, you can do that. And you can subscribe to the newsletter eventually. Crap. Yeah, the drive really takes a lot out of you when you drive 12 hours, and I'm 48 this month, and you just don't bounce back as fast as you once did. That should work. The newsletter thing should work now. Oh, thank you, Catwood. Yes, I am one of those really irritating people who celebrates my birthday as long as I possibly can, as early as I possibly can. I found a way to get my absolute favorite rum in the world, which is only available in the UK. I think it was Brexit that messed up the supply lines before, but I've now found another distributor, and I ordered 2 bottles of my favorite birthday rum, and that arrived yesterday, so I started celebrating my birthday yesterday because I got some good news that I can't tell you, but I'm going to hit the yay button anyway because I'm very happy. I wish I could tell you more, and I can't. And I will when I can. Did I unleash the Kraken? No, Kraken's widely available here. It's this is Rumbullion, and I've only ever seen it in the UK. Celebrate the crap out of every birthday, thumb your nose at death. That's true. That's a really good point. I'm getting older, so I'm just like, haha, I made it another year. Screw you, death. Oh boy. Yes, it is a tease, but I just want to say it. I haven't had a lot of any news because, the 2020 kind of tamped down my creativity and my output, and it's nice to have something good. Yeah, sorry, sitting on announcements is a pain, and I think I've mentioned this before, and if I have, I apologize, but, excitement fatigue is a thing. So when you get the news and you can't tell anybody, you're just really tense and excited, and you can tell your spouse and your kids and maybe a good friend if you tell them offline and promise not to have them posted on social media. But your body just can't maintain that level of excitement. You just fall over exhausted, and so the excitement damps down, and then when everybody else finds out about it, they get excited, and you're like, yeah, yay. I mean, it's like Nora Jemisin just got a major deal to help write the scripts for the Broken Earth series. And when it went public, I support her on Patreon. By the way, if you want to support N.K. Jemisin on Patreon, yes, she did just get a major deal with HBO, and she did just win the MacArthur Genius Grant. And people might wonder, why do I still give to her Patreon? Because she's now donating all of her Patreon income to charities. And so if you thought this person doesn't need my money, she's going to be she gives to charities every month. But anyway, now I don't remember why I brought her up. Crap. My brain really is tired. Yes, the announcements. She said, "Oh, right, this is public now," instead of, "Holy crap, you guys, look what I got." You know, she'd known about it for months, likely. So that's my good news that I can't tell you. I have good news that I can't tell you. I did get an email from my editor that did not say we're accepting this as final draft, but it did say things like, I need dedication, I need acknowledgments, I need to know if I can change this one sentence. Yeah, I think I talked about that last week, because we had talked on a previous episode about when your prose shows that you have a prejudice, and when your prose shows that someone in your book has a prejudice, how your prejudice can come across in fiction, and how, you can say, well, how do I write an obnoxious, terrible, bigoted villain if you're going to think that about me? There are ways to do that. There are ways that you present something that makes the reader think, even on a subconscious level, that you, the author, thinks these things. And I found myself in a position where I had a character thinking something very unkind, but she was just thinking it, and I didn't have the chance, and it was her point of view, so I didn't really have the chance to play it out, to have anybody else respond poorly to it, or point out that it was judgmental and terrible. So yeah, my editor pointed this one sentence out to me, and I realized since I just said this character's inner thought and didn't actually indicate that she was pretty awful for thinking it, it sort of implied that I thought that, and I agreed with her. So, but yeah, the good news is I believe I'm at the final draft of the novel I've been working on for many, many years. It feels so weird to say. I remember when I got the deal, the coffee shop in downtown Durham hadn't exploded yet. So that was a good 2-ish years ago. Yeah. Yeah, Mackenzie, you can have sexist characters, you can have bigoted characters. In short, I recommend you going back. You can get the VOD probably still on twitch.tv/MightyMur, or you can check out my podcast at murverse.com. It boils down to when your character shows something unpleasant, that how others respond to that unpleasantness is indicative of what the writer thinks. I use Game of Thrones as an example. There is the Dothraki do terrible things. But the way it's written, I don't think Martin is pro-sexual assault or thinks it's fine, but the way he writes them as savages, because Daenerys points out, this isn't cool. You need to stop doing this. But that's the only thing about these savage Dothraki, and that's kind of uncool. They make the dark-skinned people in your book the savages. But nobody says anything about the fact that Daenerys is 13, and that doesn't make the author look good. You really think it's cool just to have a 13-year-old do this, get married, get pregnant, all that she's 13. That makes the author look bad because no one else is saying, child bride over here, this is gross and awful. So, that's that's one example of, you can write terrible people, but you need to let, when you have other characters point out, this is a bad take, this is a bad opinion, this is racist, this is harmful. And you don't have to do it like that in a preachy way. I'm just boiling it down. But that takes it into the story, that embeds it in the story and the opinions of other people, and takes it away from you, the author. Whereas if you just present something and no one questions it, then people are going to think that's what you think is cool. Yeah, Mackenzie, and the first episode was weird because there was, I don't want to get on the big Game of Thrones thing, but it really bothered me that there are 2 consensual acts in the books that were turned violent in the TV show. Like it didn't have enough. And that was, yeah. Anyway, if you're new to the show, I'm not always this loving of tangents. It really is a day of a little bit of maternal worry and a little bit of, oh good, the kiddo is okay, can't talk because of the gauze. So I'll take a break in about 10 minutes to see them when they get home. So, does anybody else have good news? I know some of you do. Pretty sure some of you do. Pretty sure the Kids Are Asleep has some good news. I'm pretty sure Underpope has some good news. So, Underpope, if you've been following, Underpope has been a monster with submissions, and celebrating rejections. We now get to celebrate that Underpope has sold a story. I am so happy for you, dude. If you can tell us where now, tell us. If you want to wait until it comes out, tell us. I'm very, very happy for you. That's very exciting. Jasmine did a presentation at work that did well, no tech issues. That's pretty awesome. Hey, Shale had a microfiction piece accepted into an anthology. Congratulations. We like sales. This is a good sale event. Mackenzie is over halfway on your book, and you're going to do Write-a-thon week at the end of the month. Tell me what Write-a-thon week is. That sounds interesting. But good luck. That's getting over the middle hump is a big deal. Don't forget the Cobra Loose in Raleigh last week. Yeah, a guy was collecting snakes, venomous snakes, and one of the cobras got out in a suburban neighborhood. Yeah, good times. Let's see, Lee City is 80% vaccinated with 12 and up. That's great. And 45% fully vaccinated. That is a big deal. Phased Out fixed his headphones. Yeah, Underpope, that's wise. Waiting for the contract. That's smart. Yes, Phased Out. It is a small happy, but it is a happy. And The Kids Are Asleep is shortlisted for the Arthur C. Clarke Award for her novel Chilling Effect. That is huge. Congratulations, The Kids Are Asleep. So, that's just super exciting. We're doing lots of confetti for that one. Oh, Christian writing, that's right. The story, your story's out in Diabolical Plots right now. I'm still not sure how to let you post links, so... But anyway, check out Diabolical Plots. Go ahead and just search for it. They do good stuff there, including publishing Christian writing. Gonna do a write-a-thon every day for a week. Wow. 24-hour day 1. I'll do this. Try it again. Day 2 is 6 hours. Day 3 is 8 hours. Day 4 is 10 hours. Day 5 is 12. Day 6 is 16. And day 7 is 20. That is... sounds painful. Yeah, I don't know if it's crazy and fun. You just make my wrists hurt just by looking at that. Um, I presented how to fix things in Word and fix a graphic in Paint in front of all the other coworkers virtually. That's pretty good. You've already got someone joining you. That's great. You're going to be the next NaNoWriMo. Now, I am delighted for the number of good news. That's really, really cool. Yeah, when are the winners announced? Tell us about the Clark Award. I know the Clark Award is a juried award from the UK, but I'm not sure how, especially in pandemic times, how it's going to be announced. Word's hard. If it's in August based on last year, well, great. Awesome. What else was I going to talk about? I had a list. There's my list. What I wanted to talk about today, the actual real topic. We often say keep your eyes on your own work and don't compare your career to anybody else, because whatever is facing out, you don't know what's facing in. You don't know if the person you see as incredibly successful, maybe you've got kids and they don't. Maybe you've got someone to care for, aging spouse, or aging parents, ill spouse, or whatever. Maybe you have monetary worries. Maybe you work another job or a difficult, physically or mentally taxing job that hinders your ability to write, or your, I guess productivity is the word I'm looking for, how much you output. I lost all faith in the war of art when the guy's saying that Tolstoy had a bunch of kids and look what he created. And I'm like, if you want to prove to me how Tolstoy was a good parent and an equal parent to his wife, then I'll believe you. But considering how much work the women did at the time for the house and the raising of children, that's not a good argument. Because I've done it. Chuck Wendig is a good friend, and he came up, we careers on kind of an even keel. He's written more than I have and had more success, but he's we were both nominated for the Astounding Award at the same time, and it's been neat watching his career go. And I was talking to a friend about feeling bad about my output compared to Chuck's, and she pointed out that I was still primary caregiver, also mainly, thinking about taxi service, and I work from home, so I do a lot of the home stuff, and Chuck didn't. And I'm not saying anything bad about Chuck. He's a good friend, but he's not the primary caregiver for their son. And you don't know what people are dealing with or not dealing with compared to you, whether it be mental or physical issues that keep you from writing or keep you from writing a lot. So this is why we say don't compare yourself to others. Don't, keep your eyes on your own paper. When you're feeling competitive, compete against yourself last week. Compete against the last book you wrote. You don't need to worry about what the person next to you is doing, because everybody's going to have a different situation. And this is good advice, because if you do focus on someone else's career too much, then it can get all poisony and upsetting, and you get obsessed. There are some people who are obsessed with John Scalzi and believe that he has no talent and has, just works really hard to try to get people to believe that John Scalzi's just some sort of secret cabal of writers who are terrible and liberal and do their best to, I'm not even sure, but one time they wrote a book either in parody or trying to use his story formatting to prove that you couldn't sell. I can't remember what it was, but I remember my thought was, that is so much work. That is so much work you're doing for fighting against someone who doesn't care. You know, it's just like throwing rocks at a battleship. And I felt bad for them. I mean, granted, they're trolls and want to hurt, and so I can't feel too bad for them, but I feel bad that their lives are so centered around the hatred of one person that they're not creating anything of their own. So much effort, so much energy. I don't even know if they're good writers or not, but I'm saying you could be using that effort and energy to be a better writer. So this is why we say, don't worry about somebody else. But I said recently that I'm having a problem with self-sabotage in that I don't give 100% to my projects because, and I'm psychoanalyzing myself, but this is the closest thing I could come up with. It's because I'm, in my head, I think that if I lose it, if I don't perform or write the best thing or have the best website or whatever, or the best podcast or the best stream, that I can say that, well, I didn't give it my all. And so that is why it's not doing as well as I want it to. And that like covers a fear of, if I did put 100% of something into a project and it flopped, then there's nothing else to blame it on. It was a project that flopped. And I can't have the little cushion of, well, I just didn't try hard enough. And, you know, I'm like those skeevy guys in a lot of comedies who are just like, well, I could do that, I just don't want to. So anyway, I hate doing this. I don't like admitting embarrassing things on the stream, but I do it because I want you guys to know that I am as petty and as jealous and as mean and small as the whatever awful feeling you have in your soul when you are feeling what you know is a non-charitable thought at somebody else. But if if she's listening, she'll know who she is. But I won't say who because I don't want to be that obvious. But there's another creator, author, and podcaster who came on the scene about the same time I did, and she was very encouraged, like very eager to get to know me, and we exchanged talks about writing and podcasting, and then she made her own podcast, and then she made an empire out of podcasting and novels and how-to books and courses. And I've been watching going, I was proud of myself for setting up a live stream. And I barely wrote last year. And that is the bad part of looking at somebody else's paper. Because I don't know what her life is. She may not have ADD. I got to remember that a lot of people don't have ADHD and they can go from massive project to massive project. Mary Robinette Kowal was president of SIFWA. The day her term ended, the day after that, she took over as the Worldcon chair, which is a huge job. And just my little ADHD brain just wanted to die when I thought of going from one to the other without any stopping, without any break, without any question. I mean, I don't know whether she questioned or not, but I'm just like, maybe she just doesn't have the brain problems I have. Wow. So I've been feeling bad about this author and comparing myself to her and feeling just awful. I'll be honest. But recently I realized that I can learn from her. I'm talking about more of presenting yourself, building your brand, as they say, and a lot of people hate. But it's, when you're a content creator of any kind, you want to reach people. And I've been feeling like I've been reaching the same people for years and years and years. And I know I've gotten some new ones, and I'm not trying to say I don't appreciate those of you who've been with me for years and years and years. But, you know, I was hoping to expand my audience when my book started getting published, and expanding my audience when I started streaming, and it hasn't worked out as well as I'd hoped, but I know I'm not doing everything I can. I'm not working on making my stream as best as it can be, or my podcast, or, as I told you, I didn't even write this morning yet. And that's when I realized, I mean, this person is putting out a lot of how-to content, and I need to swallow my pride and check out what she's done. I'll go ahead and say it, because now I'm advocating for her, and you might get use out of her stuff too. It's Joanna Penn with the Creative Penn Podcast. You know, I knew her back in the mid-2000s when both of us were, you know, newbie writers and newbie podcasters, sort of, and she's made a literal empire of her. She does self-publishing of fiction. You know, she does well with her fiction as well as all of her nonfiction stuff, and I've been jealous. But I'm trying to copy off her paper in that I want to learn from her. She does productivity for writers, business for writers, those kinds of books. And I can try to get something out of that. So, if you find yourself looking at somebody else's life or career, first, take into account the fact that you don't know what their behind the scenes information is. You don't know if they have an assistant, if they have, you know, someone who takes care of the people in their lives, or if they don't have ADHD or depression or whatever you handle every day. People without those problems, you know, do a lot better. At least when it comes to tackling a lot of work. To try not to look at it that way, but if you can learn from them, do that. I want to see, you know, I'm looking forward to a couple of learning from Joanna, especially, like I said earlier, when I got very distracted by having the wrong information for my newsletter. I want to see how she handles her various outreach, because I know she's got a Patreon, and I know she's got pretty sure she's got a newsletter, and she does all the other stuff that she does. Where does she overlap? Where does she give only one thing to one person? Or like for example, with Jemmy, you can buy buy one-time things. So if you don't want to subscribe or support me every month, you could just go there and get like a one-on-one call or a personalized video, or you can give me the topic for my stream, or tell me what game I'm playing on my stream within reason. You know, that's that portal, but you know, I still have to figure out what I'm going to tell Patreon people and what I'm going to tell my newsletter, and I'm, you know, wondering the crossover. And I've read about all this, and so I want to learn from her. Yeah. So I'm trying to not compare myself so much, but just see what I can learn, because it's really hard. But I've realized time and time again that if you just stop feeling like a petulant 6-year-old and try to be open-minded about somebody else and their abilities or their successes, you'll be happier and you might learn something. I remember there was a woman who, she was the friend of a friend, and we were all at a con together, and she intimidated me. She was absolutely gorgeous. She was very talented in multiple areas. And I was intimidated, and I'm just like, somebody that amazing just wouldn't want to be friends with me. I'm just this nerd loser over here. And we were walking in a group, and she looked at me, and she's like, Mur, why don't you like me? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I think you're amazing. And all the time, I was thinking she was this glorious goddess. She was thinking, why the hell is Mur avoiding me? What's going on? What'd I do? And I had started our relationship off on the wrong foot just by being small and petty. So I'm trying. And I don't know if Joanna still listens to I Should Be Writing. If you do, then I hope you understand that I'm in highest regard, and the petty jealousy is exactly what I just said it is. Petty. So, I do recommend checking out the Creative Pen podcast and seeing what you can learn from her, because she does really good work. Thank you for listening to I Should Be Writing. If you would like to hear the extended version of this episode, you can support at Patreon for as little as $1 at patreon.com/mightymur, or you could just come hang out with us on Twitch, where we will keep going with this conversation. You can learn more about me and my books and my podcasts at murverse.com. You can email me your questions about writing at mightymur@gmail.com. My socials are Twitter, mightymur, Instagram when I remember to put something up, and that's mightymur numeral 2. And you can catch this show and my other streams live on Twitch, twitch.tv/mightymur. Thank you to John Anealio for the use of his song, I Should Be Writing. And thank you to Summer Brooks for the awesome production she gives. So that's it for me. I'll see you next time. And until then, you should be writing.
I do this to myself.
This podcast is brought to you by my Patreon supporters. If you would also like to join the ink-stained fabulists, go to patreon.com/mightymur.
Up on that shelf, on the spine of a paperback.